Hi there. Let's take a moment from regular programming to let you know some news. If you're listening to this, you probably are someone who's tired of the constant battle with a chronic illness. Maybe you just feel exhausted, isolated, or completely out of sync with your life. I get it, I really do. I used to be right where you are. As you know, my name is Sarah Evans, or many people know me as the Long Haul Yogi, and I'm a certified coach, yoga, and Reiki professional. More importantly, I'm someone who fully recovered from my own long, challenging chronic illness journey. Now I help others just like you stop playing whack-a-mole with their symptoms and create meaningful change. My healing and wellness mentorship is all about creating a personalized roadmap that actually works for you and your body. We cover everything from the physical stuff to the heavy logistical burdens. Think of me as your strategic yet deeply empathetic partner in recovery. It's practical, it's holistic, and it honors the whole you, body, mind, and spirit. The best part, you don't have to commit to anything right now. Let's just have a chat. My spaces for the healing and wellness mentorship are intentionally limited because I dedicate so much of my energy to those that I mentor. So if you're ready to see what a manageable, fulfilling life looks like again, just book a no obligation 15-minute discovery call. Head straight to my website, the link is in the show notes, and let's talk about your goals. I'm really looking forward to meeting you. Take care.
Amazing, because I remember talking to you, and I I felt really like solidly at that time in my convictions that long COVID would be something that I would always have to manage forever. And now to the point I'm getting to the point where I think, you know, maybe it's very possible that someday I won't have to think about it anymore. And
Yeah.
that's like a miracle.
Hello and welcome to the Long COVID Hope Podcast, Holiday Special Edition 2025. I'm your host, Sarah Evans, formerly known as the Long Haul Yogi, and today I have a wonderful episode, a catch-up episode with Julia Claire Taylor, who we originally heard from back in season 3. Julia is a professional opera singer living in New York City, and she has made amazing strides with her own recovery journey, and we have so many interesting things to talk about. It's a very wide-ranging conversation, speaking about her projects of decluttering and also all the amazing things that she's doing to heal and live her best life, essentially. So just in a minute we'll get started with that, but I want to take a moment to both say that this is a YouTube video version, so if you're listening on the audio edition, skip over to my YouTube channel and you can watch the video edition. Most of the videos go for the Long COVID Hope podcast go directly onto our Patreon account, but since Julia is very present on YouTube, and since this is the Christmas special, I wanted to put the full video episode on YouTube. And I want to just take a moment as well to wish you the best happy holidays that it's possible to. I'm fully aware that when you are battling a chronic illness that the festive season may look different for you, and I honour and acknowledge that. I also, as a health coach and as a disabled friendly yoga instructor and all the things that I do, I just want to also encourage you to listen to your body and what it needs, to take regular pacing breaks, to accept the help of those around you who wish to help. It doesn't have to be all singing or dancing, and as much as you can, try and stay in the moment and take make appreciation of joyful and content times that you spend with others, whatever it may look like. So, yeah, just I encourage you to enjoy things as it is, and know that 2026 may bring something really excellent for you. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hi, Julia. Welcome back to the Long COVID Hope podcast for our holiday special.
I'm so excited to
Hi.
be here. Thank you for having me for the
Well,
holiday special.
of course. Well, thanks for coming back. I really want to talk to you because I know you've had a lot happening, lots of improvement, a lot of
I
exciting
have.
news and things. And so it'd be great. I thought it'd be great to kind of circle back and see how you're doing. Because I think it's how long has it been since your episode where you were last on? Do you remember?
Over a year, definitely at least 1 year, if not closer to a year and a half.
Yes. So how are you?
So I'm doing well. I feel like since a year ago or since the last time I recorded, I my baseline of health has improved so much. I was in another long COVID research trial at Mount Sinai with Dr. David Putrino, and it was in a study studying how antivirals commonly used to treat HIV and AIDS affect long COVID patients. And I still don't know what medication I got or if it was the placebo, but whatever it was, it helped me so much. And so I am waiting for the control period to be over, and then I'm going to resume taking one of those options, and I'll keep you guys posted on how it's going. But I'm able to I live in New York City, and I'm able to walk further and spend more of my day out in the city. I am able to, um, I was able to sing for 30 minutes for the first time, which was such a huge milestone because until that point, I was really only able to practice by myself for, 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes. And then I got together with a pianist, and something about being there with another person boosted my ability to sing for a little bit longer. And it did take me, a day to recuperate, but it didn't take 2 days to recuperate. So these little milestones and improvements are like helping me um live a little bit more of my life and move forward and feel healthier and stronger. And they're happening bit by bit, day by day.
Amazing. Yay. I have to say though, that's not any small like little milestone for you. Like to anyone that doesn't know you, like you're a professional opera singer,
Yeah,
singing is your livelihood, and the fact that you haven't been able to through the long COVID experience and then you went to do it is a
that's
massive
true.
massive thing.
It was
Yeah.
a massive achievement. And the fact that I sang well, I mean, I could have been squawking or something sounding really bad, but I sang well enough to record it and post it online for people to see. I mean, that it felt amazing. It just felt huge.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and so what else have you been up to? Because obviously there's been a lot that's happened so far this year for you.
I know 2025 has been like a whirlwind and a blur and a roller coaster and like ups and downs and lefts and rights. So in April, unfortunately, I lost my job, and that was like such a surprise. And I I cannot say the exact reason why I lost my job, but it seemed to me it was due to my long COVID, which was really hard. And, it was worded in such a way that I couldn't really do anything about it. And I, got a little like money from them for after the fact. And I sort of was, for the first time in my life, was uh, not working. I've never not worked. And I kind of felt a little like set adrift, like what do I do now? And one of the things that was really important to me was first of all to rest and recuperate a little bit because I had been experiencing burnout without being aware that I was experiencing burnout. And
Yeah.
so I did sort of rest and recuperate a little bit. And then I kind of had known in my heart for a while that the next thing I needed to do was to declutter and organize my house. And I just like total God thing opportunity was given the opportunity to have assistance and help from a YouTube channel that I had been watching for inspiration and motivation. They asked if I had applied on a long shot because they are based in South Korea. So, South Korea to New York is quite the commute, but I just had applied on a whim, if you want to come to New York and declutter a tiny apartment, come on. And they picked me. And so, I did that this summer and it was just an amazing experience. I was working really hard, talk about, raising my baseline. I felt like in that instance, yes, like I had to take my body's needs into consideration, but my mind was like so powerful through that experience. And I decluttered and completely rearranged and reorganized my home. I probably got rid of like 40% of my belongings all in. Uh and the series has been posted on YouTube now. It's on the Space Maker Method channel. And I launched my own YouTube channel as a result of that. And have been sort of job hunting as well, in addition to. And it's been a whirlwind, but it's been the most like transformative year, body, mind, and spirit that I think I've had in my life.
Wow, no small statement there.
No, as I was saying that, I was like thinking back on I was like, no, this is the most transformative year I've ever had in my entire life.
Amazing. So, full disclosure, you and I do chat, and I followed you for your whole Space Maker method journey, and I
Yeah,
got
what did
so
you think?
hooked. I loved it. Yeah, I'm like such a big fan of it now, and it's so relatable, and I think it's so relatable, particularly for people that are going through chronic health challenges, long COVID, chronic fatigue syndrome, what you're going through. But like, yeah, the stuff it can just accumulate. And
Yes.
particularly when you're buying when you're trying to get well and you're buying lots of supplements, like other aids, like it can get really really busy in the house.
So overwhelming and to the point where you don't even know where to start. And also, yes, like so many people in the comments of my series in particular were saying that they had long COVID, that they had some other chronic illness. I saw a couple of people said that they had fibromyalgia, lupus, and other sort of like autoimmune or chronic fatigue syndrome type illnesses. And they were like, "Oh, thank you so much for talking about this and going on." And I think that's part of the reason why I got selected because things happen and especially when you're not feeling well and you are in my case, I was fairly isolated. When I say fairly, I mean like completely isolated. Um, and for me, it was like online shopping was like that little like dopamine hit when I really wasn't having much of that throughout my day. And as I said in the series, it was like that little like ping of online purchasing and shopping and spending money. Like it was a coping mechanism that was working for me for a time period until it wasn't. Because my living room had essentially become a storage unit. And as much as this, like what you were talking about with the supplements and trying new things, I was actively trying to rehome some of those things that were not working for me, either on my neighborhood, like giveaway group or here in New York City we have like a COVID conscious group and I would post in there like, hey, does anyone need this machine that tests your this level or these supplements or whatever. And occasionally like people would come grab stuff, but it's like I wasn't keeping up with my own um intake of items as well. And also it because my home was so disorganized because I was so fatigued and I couldn't keep up with tidying and there was just simply too much.
Yes.
Um I was buying so many multiples of things. Like because I couldn't find, you know, I always talk about bottles of Tylenol because I think I must have found like five separate bottles of Tylenol and like in completely different places in my home. And I was like,
Yep.
so where did I like I bought so many Tylenol so many different times just because I couldn't find it. And like um I know it's all like I'm talking about all like medical things, but they're the quickest examples that come to mind that were not in sort of one area, but like Vicks vapor rub that you rub on your chest. I had
Mm-hmm.
four of those. I had four of those, and I was like, why do I have four? I haven't even been sick that much. So, um,
But
it's
yeah, it's
like,
completely relatable though. Like when you're chronically fatigued, when you have like energy limiting illness, like the act of trying to work out where you put something, like it just sometimes people just don't have the energy to be rooting around,
to look
sorting things
for it,
out.
to put it back, even.
Or
So
even
it's
like
like,
tidying things up and
yeah.
organizing. If you don't, if you your energy is limited to the absolute basics of making sure you eat and the very basic things for quality of life, like everything else has to go by the wayside, doesn't it?
Yes, and like I when I moved into this apartment, the kitchen is like extraordinarily small with no storage. So I had no idea how to set it up to make a functional kitchen. And obviously, when you're suffering a fatigue-based illness, that only got so much worse. And so it got to the point where like I had nowhere I could prep food. Nowhere. I had nowhere I could prep food. So it's like anytime I was just trying to like boil some pasta, I had to like move this and I have to take this and just to like because I have a stove cover so that I had somewhere that I could dry my dishes. So I had to take the dish, fold up the dish dryer, hang it up, take the stove cover off, get the pot off of a rack close to the ceiling, and it was like it was so much easier to just eat like already prepared food or something that goes in the microwave. It was like a self, and I'm not shading. I think so many doctors say, and I completely agree, fed is best. You know, like I don't judge anybody or myself for convenience foods or needing to take shortcuts in cooking because it can be so draining. But
Absolutely.
it was like my life since that kitchen to now that my kitchen functions is like wildly easier. Like, and I just needed a second set of eyes. I needed some help. I needed to know where to start because it would be like, oh, I need to do this pile. And another thing is, I also got well, not loosely, I was diagnosed with ADHD this year. So, my, um, it was really in that conversation with my psychiatrist, he like got out the DSM and I was all of the things in the
That's fair.
it was a pretty easy conversation. But um I found myself like I was even when I was putting effort into decluttering on my own, I was like getting distracted or I was like more churning through piles than actually getting stuff out the door. I would be like, okay, well, this goes in this category and this goes here, and this is going to be my to-do pile. And then so it would go from one pile to a different pile, or like it would be there was no I had no strategy and I needed help so badly. And I knew that I needed help, but it everything just like worked out in such like a perfect way that I couldn't have even like predicted it. Yeah, so I mean, if you guys want to check out the series, the Space Maker Method in general, if you like organization, if you like decluttering, if if you like chatty videos, it is just like such a fun channel to watch in general. And
Yes.
my series is 13 episodes. So it's like you I mean, you don't have to commit to the whole thing, but if you do, it's quite the ride.
Yeah, I mean, I've never watched anything like that before, to be honest. And just because I
Really?
knew you, I tuned in to support you and stuff. And then I got like totally hooked. And then it really
Yeah.
inspired me. I was looking around my house, being like, "Oh, I could declutter this, I could declutter that." And I've been inspired. And like, it got to the point where on Sundays I'll be watching you decluttering, and I'll be like, "Okay, I'm going to do a decluttering task myself as I'm watching," and
Yes,
stuff like
yes.
that. It's like
It,
it's inspiring.
it's inspiring. It always like lights a motivational fire, and like so many people do exactly what you do, and they'll use it as body doubling. So it's like as I'm decluttering, they're decluttering. And it's
Yeah.
like they're like it feels like I'm decluttering with my friend. It feels like my friend is here with me and we're like doing this together. And it's like so even if you are suffering with fatigue and you can only do like 10 minutes, like one of the like big ones was
Oh yeah, just
mugs.
April has a really great tips as well of like
Yes,
if it's
yes.
like
She's always
tactics.
yes,
Yeah.
April the space maker. She always is like sort of dropping these little like nuggets of wisdom along the way. But like even so one of the days like I was feeling really fatigued and we started really small. We just were like, okay, we're gonna do this one little shelf and we're gonna go through and see. And it was like as I was going, yes, my body was fatigued, but I like got more excited as we were going, and then we could go further than just that one shelf. And I feel like so often it works that way. So it's like if you're like body doubling with the video and you're like, I'm only gonna declutter my coffee mugs or like my Tupperware for the day for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, oftentimes you get so excited or like motivated as you're doing it that like you naturally wind up doing 20 minutes or 30 minutes, or you're like, you know what, in addition to Tupperware, I'm also gonna do my cups or whatever, whatever. So I will always be so grateful. And April and Jackson are the April is the space maker and Jackson is her husband who comes along to the jobs and does some of the heavy lifting and he organizes some of the sponsors for the episodes. They are like my lifelong friends now. I have been like we stay in touch. And they sort of have joked that they're like, well, you have to take a trip to Korea now since we came to New York.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
That's something to put on the vision
yeah,
board.
something to put on my bucket list for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Amazing.
feel that, and that's actually also something, gosh, this conversation's all over the place. That's something that I also have felt like I felt more optimistic this year for traveling. I think the last time we spoke, I felt like that was just very far away for me. Like I felt like I could maybe go home and visit my family if I had like a spare room I could crash in for however long my I needed to recuperate. But now it's like I feel like I have a lot of I know myself, I know my illness, I know my body, and I feel like I have all these tools now that I can use if I'm not feeling well, um, abroad or whatever, where I can, where travel is more of a possibility for me than it was before, which is like amazing because I remember talking to you and I I felt really like solidly at that time in my convictions that long COVID would be something that I would always have to manage forever. And now to the point, I'm getting to the point where I think, you know, maybe it's very possible that someday I won't have to think about it anymore. And
Yeah.
that's like a miracle. Oh,
Oh.
it's a good cry. It's a good cry.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like it goes to show how much healing is happening on all levels, right?
On
That
all levels. Yeah. Because,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and yes, like there's practical things with, especially with the declutter, and like we keep talking about the declutter like it was a small task. I like when I say I think I got rid of 40% of my belongings, I'm not exaggerating. It was like
a
my living
lot,
room
yeah.
felt like a storage unit. My bedroom felt like I was like shoved in my bed in a corner. And like it was very like insular, like a cocoon at the time. But like
Mm,
obviously at some point the butterfly has to spread wings and have space to move and stretch. And it my home was not
yeah,
working for me. So um it was like one of my biggest accomplishments of the year, and it was huge and it was
yeah.
filmed. And so it was like we keep talking about it because it was like the biggest thing going on this year.
And I think
But
it's an important thing to reflect on, I think, and it's, I think it's very valuable to listeners of this podcast, the relevancy of it.
good,
Um,
good. That's my
I have two
intention.
more questions about the
Oh,
topic.
sure. Yeah, I just want I wanted to say that there was the practical side of improving my health with the declutter, like obviously like moving furniture around and uncovering nooks and crannies that have not been accessed in a long time. There was so many dust bunnies, so many cat hair dust bunnies that were vacuumed. So obviously I, you know, legit like can breathe better, right? That's not in my house
Yeah.
anymore. But emotionally and mentally and like spiritually, like having the space in the home brings me so much clarity and peace of mind that this is a nervous system disorder primarily. I mean, we've seen
Mm,
that in the science, we've seen that in the new research that's coming out. We've seen it in previous post-viral syndromes. It's based in the nervous system, the brain, the brainstem, the spine, the nerves. And
yeah.
it's inflammation based as well. It's nervous system and vascular inflammation, nervous system. So my nervous system was calmed, like in a very concrete way. So my health has improved, like in a very literal, scientific, concrete way. Um, and that is something that I think I couldn't really articulate it as well before I went through the process. But as I went through the process, it became so evident to me that like I could practically feel my brain unswelling, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
I don't know how literal that is or how, but it's like I could feel it. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, anybody that has, or in their surroundings that has things that they're unhappy with, that they feel stressed about, like it's overwhelming you, it has an impact. Obviously, you talk about the mind-body connection to the cows come home, but it's the environment that we find ourselves in is important when we're trying to heal, and if we can make you know improvements to the environment that you're in any way, shape, or form. And it's not just the physical environment, it's also, who is around you. Are they supporting you or are they
yes.
depleting you and things like that? It's all part of it, isn't it?
Yeah,
But it makes total
absolutely.
sense to me that you've purged and released so much, physical stuff, and you're feeling lighter and you're feeling, yeah, just better. It's amazing.
Yeah, completely. And I mean, like, gosh, even like for zoo animals at the zoo, they talk about making their enclosure nice, right? And it's like we
Mm,
at the end of the day, we are little zoo animals and we have to, create enrichment and space and play in our own enclosures. And I could barely move around. I could barely, have a functional eating zone. I felt like I was constantly tripping over stuff or knocking something over. So it's like it just is so much better. It is such a fresh air. Or such a breath of fresh air.
okay, and I just wanted to mention as well, like obviously watching your Space Maker method videos, like coming from where I'm coming from as someone who's had long COVID and recovered, and I could definitely we kind of relate to some of the adjustments you were making to like, you were sitting down quite a bit some episodes, obviously with the pots and stuff. Like, could you kind of speak to that a little bit about how you can make it work with such a massive project for
Yes.
you?
Yes. Also, if you see my little kitty, she just wanted to hop up and say hello there. So that's not just like a random specter in the corner there. There she is. Um, But yes, so especially because so even in the scheduling of how we were filming, my long COVID was considered. So we would film for 2 days on and then I would have 1 day off. I was so motivated that I wanted to get stuff done that on my day off, I was often doing homework assignments, but they many of those were considered optional.
Mhm.
And part of the reason we built that space into the schedule was in case I had a flare, or in case I needed to take a day off, or I needed to just be in bed and rest and recuperating for a day because a lot of it is hard physical work and manual. But I was helped a lot and given accommodation by April and Jackson by a lot of times I was sitting either on my bed, on a chair, at a table, and the category of whatever I was currently making those decisions about was being kind of put in front of me to make those decisions. So, again, I'm so grateful to April for being so considerate and thoughtful in how we approached decluttering because I wasn't having to lift and carry a bunch of heavy stuff. I wasn't having to kind of walk back and forth a bunch. There was the day that we moved all the furniture around. Yes, I was helping to lift things. I was helping to push and carry, but that was 1 day out of 2 weeks of filming. 2 weeks of filming days, 13 episodes. So, um, that I was accommodated. I was the one making decisions and choosing what stays and what goes. But April was a lot, the one doing a lot of the picking up, carrying, walking back and forth to make accommodation for my energy levels on that particular day. And I remember, I think it was like the second or third day, I was feeling so nauseous because the heat when we were filming in August in New York was like it was so brutal, and for some of my air conditioner at the time was broken, so it was making a loud rattling noise, and so we would have to work in the heat with no air conditioner. And
Oh no.
so it was like she she like helped me get through. We would take breaks frequently, and it was sort of a running joke between us off camera to that like we were like who could drink more water, like who could remind each other to like drink a whole like 32-ounce thing of water or whatever. Like and so there was that sort of culture while filming of, taking care of each other. Are you hungry? We need to take a break for a snack, and even with that, every day of 4 or 5 hours of working together, we had like a 1 hour video out of all that. So it
Yeah.
it we were able to get like wonderful content, even with accommodations for my energy level at the time. What all is needed with a chronic illness. And so if people out there listening need to do a declutter or are thinking about decluttering themselves, it is so very possible to, do in either like bite-sized chunks or accommodate yourself, and don't feel guilty for accommodating yourself and giving yourself what you need as you tackle a big project.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that kind of segues well into what I want to talk about next,
Yeah.
which is celebrating the holidays. This is the holiday special. So celebrating the holidays whilst chronically ill. And I think, what you're saying about how April and her husband, can't remember his name, were helping. Like I think it's so crucial that when you have chronic illness, when you have like energy limitations, to try like and accept the help of others, isn't it? I feel like
Yeah.
that's one of my biggest takeaways through chronic illness journey is that. But like, what would you say is important or
Yeah, and
critical?
like for me, so much of holiday celebration is making sure I'm safe, comfortable, and that we can celebrate not being afraid to ask for what I need to feel comfortable in my illness. So for me, like that might be meeting up with somebody and asking, there's this restaurant that has outdoor seating with heaters on top so we can stay warm, we can, celebrate, we can get together, but there's still enough airflow during this season of, I don't know if you've been reading about it over there, but certainly in the US, flu, COVID, everything is like at an all-time high right now. Everyone is sick. So even if like they're not feel we're not feeling sick or anything, for my comfort and my boundary level, I would gently request heating, yes, outdoors please, or like making some sort of plan to make sure that like there's enough airflow or something where I feel like I can celebrate without, constantly worrying about, getting reinfected, which we can talk about in a minute. And I can feel a bit more at ease and celebratory. And, my family every year goes Christmas caroling out and in the street. And there is an understanding now that, if I feel like I can't walk that far or I just can't do it or it's too much of an energy tax, it's okay if I drink hot chocolate, on the front porch and watch them walk around here, there, and everywhere and carol and all that. And like, that's okay. And I don't feel guilty for that. And they don't guilt me about it or whatever. It's like, and if you don't feel well enough, being, you know what, I really need to rest and recharge right now. I'm just gonna kind of take a little break, even if it's literally like, I know for me, if I'm in a social setting, the stimulation of everything, because again, it's a nervous system based. Um, I don't think I ever said like my diagnoses at the beginning. So I have POTS, dysautonomia, myalgic encephalomyelitis, aka chronic fatigue syndrome. So, and the overstimulation of bright lights, lots of people, socializing can be very draining and very overwhelming to me. So sometimes I like just go in a bathroom and like turn the lights off and just like sit there for like a couple minutes of quiet just to kind of recalibrate
Yes.
and get kind of back from being overwhelmed to kind of regular whelmed, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So even if it's like a mini break like that, or just like, you know, hopefully you're spending the holidays with people who love you for exactly who you are. And if you say, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I need to dip out. I just need to go home and rest." It's a no problem party. It's like a no problem issue, and like they'll pack you a plate and you can just head on out. I mean, like life happens. I mean, that's kind of was one of the mottos of my declutter was like life happened and my house filled up full of stuff and life happens. We have long COVID. We're all in this together, and not everything is gonna look like a Norman Rockwell picture of everybody at their place at the table all the time with a big smile on their face. Sometimes if we're not feeling well and we need to rest, it's okay to just call it and say, you know what, I've so enjoyed this time that we've spent, but I need to go home now, and it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm still
absolutely.
working. I'm still working on it, to be honest. Like sometimes I still catch myself feeling, um, I guess bashful about making those kinds of requests. So I'm talking to you and to the listeners, but I'm also talking to myself. about not being afraid to say what it is that I need because I know that like nobody in my life at this point will make me feel bad for what I need.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, you went into a restroom, whereas I have many times like retreated to my car and like laid the seat right back and just really like close your eyes and just take that break if you need it.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, for those of you guys who didn't hear my first episode with Sarah, there was a time the car is the best place for that, honestly, if you can. I would drive 15 or 20 minutes at like some of my absolute most ill. I would drive to the supermarket 15 or 20 minutes, and then I would have to lay my seat back in my car and take a nap. And then I would have to do the grocery shopping in the grocery store with the bright lights and all the people and everything. And then after I did the grocery shopping, I would have to lay back my seat and take a nap. And then I would have to drive home, find parking, and then I would have to lay back my seat and take another nap. So it's
ah,
like we have to do what we have to do with this illness. And also, again, not trying to toot my own horn by any means, but it's like how far I've come from that place in 2023 to where I'm at now in 20 at closing out 2025 is massive.
yeah, and it's important to reflect on that and
Yeah,
that you have come a really long way. I'm sure there's many listeners who also in their own ways have come a really long way with
I'm
learning
sure.
about yourself and your body and like what's happening and maybe even reflecting on, the kind of why, like were there things that were happening in your pre-COVID existence that were draining or fatiguing in their own
Yeah,
ways, and
yeah,
it kind of accumulates, doesn't it? And then maybe COVID is a trigger that pushes
yeah,
things over the edge.
yeah. I
The
mean,
amount of people I speak to who are like recovering like perfectionists, recovering like A type A's, and like they would go 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 go, and then until their body said absolutely stop. You know what I mean?
I was all of those things. I was all of those things. I think a lot of people with long COVID are those things. And it's interesting to me because as I mentioned multiple times, it is a nervous system based illness. So part of me wonders if that kind of type A perfectionist mentality literally strains physiologically the nervous system in such a way that it makes us more susceptible to things like long COVID or autoimmune or another post-viral syndrome. That, that mentality is, I mean, that mentality is not healthy no matter how you slice it, dice it, rub it down. And so many of us are, we're living such a hustle paced life and such a, hard on ourselves mentality that I do wonder a lot if like that was a predisposition in a way. It's something that I think about and I wonder about, especially as I am sort of able to kind of do more, push further, I have a bit more energy for creative pursuits and endeavors. It's very tempting to go back into that. It's very enticing to sort of like beat myself up if I can't film or edit a video each and every single week. But then I remind myself maybe that's part of what, led you to get ill. And, you have to remember to be kind to yourself and calm and regulate your nervous system, um,
Yep.
if not more than the average person, at least as much as the average person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, like, and again with the holidays, like, it's so important that in whatever way is available to find seek joy and find moments of joy and just be
Oh,
content like with the moments that are available to you and the things that you can do, right? Whatever
yeah.
that is.
I saw a post recently that like I don't know if it's true, but like that many millennials enjoy like looking at the lit up Christmas tree with the lights off like after dark sipping, because it reminds them of a nostalgic time in their childhood. Um and I saw so many comments on that like little post that like so many people love to look at the Christmas tree in the dark. And it started like turning my wheels. Like joy can be like making hot chocolate in the microwave for yourself. Joy can
Yeah.
be like turning the lights off and putting on like your favorite Christmas carol or holiday song or whatever in a low stimulus way. It can be whatever, and joy can cost $0 and 0 cents, and joy can, be as extravagant as a big holiday party, or it can be as small as like looking at Christmas lights in the dark. It can be whatever brings you joy for you. And I think that that's like I have a favorite Christmas album that I put on every year, and I listen to it, especially like leading up to Christmas. It's called Festival of the Heart by John Boswell. He's a jazz pianist, and it's like the most it's like I can't explain it. It's just like so warm. It feels like a warm hug. It's jazz piano and like a couple of other instruments, and it's like arrangements of like some Christmas carols and holiday songs, and then he kind of like does his own jazz thing in there as well.
Amazing.
And it's like every time I put that on, I feel so much joy every year. And it's like it makes me just want to like again like make a cup of tea or whatever. It just is so like that's my tradition.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. I'm sure I would love that. I love like jazzy Christmas, like Ella Fitzgerald, Nat King Cole, that sort of vibe. So that sounds
I'll
amazing.
I'll send you the link, girl. I'll send you the link because let me tell you, like it's like the perfect. It's Ella Fitzgerald. I feel like is like more like upbeat, like jazz. It's like
Hmm.
this is like
Yeah.
very like I can't even explain. It calms me down like Enya calms me down. It's like it is so, but it's so much warmer to me than Enya. It's like it's just or orally. It's like it's nighttime music. I can't even explain it.
Mm.
It's so calm. It's beautiful. Anyway, I'll send you the link.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, and what you were talking about reminded me. It's like I love aromatherapy, and I found like a diffuser the other day, which is got like it's like ginger, cinnamon,
Ooh.
vanilla, and it just smells like baking cookies in the kitchen, right? So I put it in the kitchen, and so the kitchen just smells like continuously like having made cookings, and I was like, this is brilliant. I should. This is the hack I needed for years to make my kitchen smell like I just baked something when I haven't. But it's like it is so uplifting, and it's amazing how yeah, music, scent, like memories, like connecting with the memory of childhood Christmases and looking at the tree and everything can
Yeah.
bring so much joy, and it's so simple and
It's
free.
so simple. And
Yeah.
actually, like if you are looking to regulate your nervous system, that is the way to do it. You go sense by sense, looking at something pleasant or nostalgic or joyful to look at, smelling something, tasting something, hearing something, and touching something fuzzy, something warm. Like that is literally if your nervous system is freaking out, which mine does all the time, that literally five things to calm yourself down and bring you back to the present moment and regulate you. Like it's the way to find joy around the holidays for sure. And it's also the way to like regulate your nervous system if you're having, an episode of whatever variety, mental, emotional, physiological. I know when I have a POTS flare, yes, I have to often like lie down, but I'll often like grab something like fuzzy to touch or something cold to touch, something that can kind of like bring me back to the present moment. And I tell you what, that's yes, medicine, yes, laying down, but also like that regulating touch, I don't know what you would call it, grounding. That's like the number one thing that calms any like POTS tachycardia.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're out of time, so we'll keep moving. I
Yeah.
want to talk about a bit of the elephant in the room, which is you had, unfortunately, a COVID reinfection
Hmm.
about just over 2 weeks ago. Is that right?
Yeah, it was the weekend before Thanksgiving, unfortunately. And it was only my first reinfection. So I had my initial infection that started my long COVID journey, and then this was my first infection since then. So it had been 3 years. And obviously it was very unexpected for me. But I unfortunately, I had been in a situation where I felt pressured to unmask in a bit of a crowded situation. And I, it was one of those things where I, I think in my gut, something was saying, maybe don't do this, but I felt socially pressured, and so I did. And in my mind, leading up to like in general, like because I hadn't had an infection since I had gotten so ill, um, I had built up reinfection into something so big and bad and monstrous. I mean, at one point, I truly believed, I talked about this in therapies and trigger warning. I truly believed that I would not literally survive the mental toll of a possible fallback into where I started on my long COVID journey. I know that sounds very dramatic, but that's what I believed eh, from a place of like so much fear. And that I think that doing what we need to do to try to avoid reinfection is important. But having come out on the other side of my reinfection, I will say, um, it is possible to get through reinfection and come out the other side and not lose how much progress you've made on your long COVID journey. Granted, if you do have like a backslide, it's not your fault and it's nobody's fault. And I had, because I was so anxious about reinfection before, I had a plan in place with my doctor where I could literally send a message to her and say, "Hey, I tested positive," and she just basically pushed a couple buttons and sent the medication that we had previously agreed upon to the pharmacy. I know it's different in the UK and around the world, but at least in the US where I am, we had a plan in place where she would send my particular protocol that I chose to my pharmacy, like as soon as I texted her that I had texted through the medical app thingy, to the pharmacy and like same day immediately so that I didn't have to think about it while I was feeling unwell. Um, and I had a pretty extensive medicine protocol. That is something that I am a firm believer. I think we have to use all the tools in the toolbox that we have been given. But I also was, drinking a lot of electrolytes. I was taking, natural supplements as well, like echinacea, elderberry, herbal remedies. I was drinking a lot of mint for my nausea, mint tea. Um, and I was definitely quite ill for 2 weeks. I was infected right before Thanksgiving, so my Thanksgiving dinner was bread, and I think I managed to drink turkey broth that day. But um I have some lingering fatigue, but I can honestly say that I've not backslid, and that's what I was really, really deathly afraid of, with reinfection. And
Yeah.
anybody and all of my doctors, my medical team is so amazing. I just I adore all of them. I've been so lucky with that. But I even when I first was reinfected and I was still very much like in that like fearful place, I let them know. And to them, it was the most normal thing in the world. And so they were like, feel better, not a problem, no biggie, like it's okay. Meanwhile, I was like shaking and crying and whatever, but I it in hindsight, it's like I can see so clearly like I had my tools, I had my plan, I stuck to my plan, and I made it to the other side. And, knock wood, I feel like I'm okay.
Yes, good. Thank you for sharing that. I know it can be a tricky topic, but I think it's something that's important to talk about. And I feel like, we've COVID has been around for goodness, approaching 6 years, and it's not going anywhere. And like, I think it's high time that the long COVID community got away from feeling like a reinfection is something to be like stigmatized or like a moral failing or you haven't done enough or anything like that, because it's fundamentally not true. And then for many cases, like for myself, I am a daughter, I'm a parent to a small child. Like there's certain situations that where it's just literally like I feel like it's impossible to
I know.
prevent reinfections from happening. Like even with going for regular booster shots and the whole 9 yards. Like
I
yeah,
think
it's
I think you can do everything right, and you can there's still can be a slip through. I know in a lot of long COVID and COVID conscious spaces, they talk about like Swiss cheese. You protect yourself and there's still a 1% chance. So you protect yourself this way and there's still a 1% chance and you protect yourself this way. Nasal sprays, masking, vaccine, um, you know, uh, eating outside or being aware of how many people you're with. So even with all those mitigations, there are still holes there, and there is a possibility if you're doing everything right. And for me, I felt, in my situation, I felt pressured, and so I did sort of take a risk that I believed at that time was calculated, and it turns out it was not. Or like it was calculated, but there was still a risk, and it
but
got
like at the
but
same time, like don't beat yourself up about that,
right. And
it
well,
happened.
there's no point. And at this point, here's the thing. If we the fact that we are going on year 6 with COVID, it is not an individual person's moral failing. It is if anything, it is society's moral failing. It is, the World Health Organization literally just put out a post like a couple days before filming this about how long COVID is essentially a systemic failure. Why is nobody talking about it? Why is nobody researching it? Or people, not enough people are researching it. And I'm not like standing here on a soapbox like yelling, but what I'm saying is if you have been reinfected, it is not your fault. It is not necessarily the end of the world. Um, just try to build your toolbox in such a way that you're prepared and, talk to other COVID conscious and COVID aware people, talk to your doctor, talk to your medical team, and get a plan in place so that you feel equipped and prepared and, to ride it out. And, I'm still resting more to recuperate from it just because I don't want the fatigue to be I want to kind of keep getting my energy back over time.
Hmm.
But it was not a moral failing. It's annoying that the one time I took a risk, it got me when I feel like I see people taking risks all the time and it doesn't get them. But you know what? It's not a moral failing. It's not something that I am going to beat myself up for. It's just another data point in my life that I can learn from, and I can and the fact that I got through this reinfection is also a data point that I can learn from, because my
Yeah, that
mentality, my fear and my mentality before and after is different now. I'm not going to go, huffing COVID and telling people to cough on me, but I'm gonna, because I was still really sick for 2 weeks. But at the same time, it's something that I feel less fearful of. And I had other people from my long COVID circle and my long COVID community reach out to me and tell me stories about their reinfections. And letting me know how they survived and how they came out the other side, and they're doing okay. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, if you've been reinfected, you are certainly not alone. Certainly
Yeah.
not.
No, no. I mean, I've stopped counting my reinfections.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
embarrassing. And at the end of the day, like, I'm aware, every single reinfection feels different. Different variants, they feel different, and some are surprisingly, very mild for a lot of people apparently. But like, I think for me personally, what you touched on about the fear factor and being very anxious about reinfection, I feel like it's just not good to fear things and like live your life kind of not doing stuff for fear of X, right? And
yeah.
like, yeah,
I
it's
think I think there's a difference in living in reality and being pragmatic and because the people who are kind of like COVID oblivious or will say, "Oh, you can't live your life in fear." Or COVID, deniers, you can't live your life
mm,
in fear.
mm,
So on the one hand, I I agree with what you're saying, and I also think there's like very sensible precautions you can take without quaking in your boots all the time about reinfection. Does that make sense? It's like
yeah,
you can be, I can go to a comedy show in a crowded room wearing a mask, having been boosted for COVID, and I'm taking precautions to avoid getting COVID, but I'm not living in fear, right? That's just, it's like putting a seatbelt on when you're in a car. Like that's not living in fear. It's just taking a little precaution when you know you're in a riskier situation. Um, and so I agree with you. I think that my mindset before was damaging, and it was from a place of trauma, medical trauma. Obviously, when I was very ill. It led to me having major surgery. It led to me being completely isolated and bedridden for a period of time. So it was a traumatized, fearful mindset. And because of the mental toll that the first infection had on me. Um, I do think, what you said about the different variants doing different things, that's so true. My very dear friend Georgia, who wrote an amazing article in the New York Times about her long COVID experience, Georgia Lupi. She's Italian and she lives in New York and
I know
she's just,
Georgia. Yeah.
you know, Georgia. Okay. So we love Georgia. We love Georgia in this chat.
She's been on the podcast. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Of course. Of course she has. I'm sorry. You can cut that out. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, she messaged me and she was like, Julia, I have to tell you, I've been reinfected multiple times, and the times that I felt sicker in the COVID, the least long-term, effects I had. So if you're really sick right now, good. And the more mild I felt initially, it took me a little bit longer to get through it, but I'm standing, I'm okay. I consider myself long COVID recovered. And I know that she said to me, I know that for you, you still have lasting effects, and you're still working through that, and I am. But but the fact that she said that and that her reinfections have been different each time, and the illness, the acute phase has affected long term a little bit differently. um
Mm,
you know I, I agree. I think we need to take the judgment of it off at this point, because I mean, like I said, you can do everything right and still get
yeah.
reinfected.
Yeah. And I
And
think
it's
as well, like, you mentioned many times about the nervous system and calming the nervous system. And I feel like as much as it's possible to try and calm yourself down and think positively,
yeah.
during a reinfection or a flare up. I sent you a guided meditation for this, and I've actually inspired by that. I've decided to just put it on my website. So yeah, I just wanted to say that if anyone's interested in a guided meditation to help with a reinfection or a flare up, if you go to my website and subscribe to the newsletter, you will be pinged immediately with the downloadable version of that because I want to
And they
just yeah
Yes,
get it out
and
there.
thank you so much for sending it to me. It really did help me. It really did help me a lot.
Good.
Especially when I was in that initial phase of like fever, couldn't eat anything, coughing green stuff up out of my lungs. And I remember doing it once and it was like I want to say it was like 10 or 12 minutes in, I totally fell asleep. I fell asleep and then
Okay.
I woke up like 5 or 6 hours later and I was like, oh no, I have to do it. I have to do the meditation. And so I put it on again. And I made it through the whole thing that time. But it was so calming and relaxing that even in my heightened state of not feeling well, I like blissed out and fell asleep. It was so nice.
Oh, good. Well, that's exactly what it's for, right? Is to
Yes,
try, it's
yeah,
calm you
yeah.
and help you to rest and recover, whatever.
Yeah, it calmed
Yeah,
me all the way asleep.
amazing. Okay, well, let's wrap up. Is there anything you want to, any thing you'd like to add to tell people that are listening to this that are still in the trenches of long COVID?
I would say that I when I was at the beginning and I heard a lot about like, oh, it can recuperate just with time, I found that to be the most frustrating thing in the world because because in my head, as these doctors are sort of at the time, it felt very condescendingly telling me, oh, just give it some time. I was like, what do you mean I need time? I can't afford to give up 3 years of my life to this whatever BS. But the thing of that is time is such a teacher, and you learn through time what your body needs to recover. You can find, medicine or body work or tools that help you over time. I mean, for me, I I have three different types of body work that I get regularly to help my symptoms and particular my particular brand of long COVID. And I do craniosacral therapy, I do osteopathic manipulation, and I have a sacro-occipital chiropractor who helps me with my because I have hypermobility as well. Um, and you find what supplements are necessary and needed for your particular stage of healing because it can always change. And you can try a medicine, it not work, and then try it again, and it does work. So I think it can be really frustrating when you're ill and somebody tells you that in time you will heal or time often helps. And I know for me it made me feel angry and hopeless and sad, but it's also like a really hopeful and beautiful thing because in time you get to know yourself better. It gives you time to work on your mental and emotional and like spiritual life journey. And so you not only, even if like worst case scenario, physically you stay the same. That has not been the case for anybody that I have spoken to personally, but let's hypothetically say mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you learn to live better and you can become more joyful and so your quality of life is better no matter what happens. And as for me, I was exploring new treatment possibilities with curiosity and with um, hope and optimism. And those new treatment possibilities, the antiviral study that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, discovering these types of body work that were working for me, different supplements that, may or may not help my nervous system or my inflammation or whatever. That's been something that has taken time. And time has healed me. So I that was a very long-winded way of saying that it can feel dismissive or annoying or stupid when somebody tells you that it takes time and in time people do recuperate, but it is also so true and it is also like such a blessing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a reason why people say time is a healer, because it
I
kind of
know.
is.
And it's so, when you're in it, it's so annoying. Like, I remember being in it and it making me feel like so mad because I was like, I don't have time. I'm young. I want to like be out and I want to be doing stuff. But that was my need for productivity and like my self-worth issues talking. It wasn't like me understanding the assignment of having long COVID, having a chronic illness, and learning from it, essentially.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on back on the podcast, Julia. I'm wishing you
Holiday
a very happy
special.
holidays. Yes.
Yes, yes. I hope you have an amazing holiday and have a happy new year, everyone.
Yes. Happy holidays and happy 2026 to everyone listening.
2026 is going to be a great year. I can feel it.
Me too. Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Long COVID Hope podcast. We sincerely hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Please note that we are not medical professionals and this does not constitute medical advice. Always speak to your doctor or medical professional before starting any new treatments, supplements, or new exercise routine. If you would like to support the podcast, please do me a favor and give a 5-star rating and review and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast client and on social media. It would help so much if you were also able to share the podcast episode you've enjoyed with a friend. Next, if you have the ability to do so, please do sign up as a Patreon member. And all Patreon members receive access to all of the video episodes, as well as receiving all episodes 1 week earlier and other member benefits. Go to patreon.com/